The smell of rosemary and wine filled the kitchen. Brooke had just pulled the beef Wellington from the oven, its golden crust steaming on the counter. Every dish was lined up on labeled trays, her handwritten checklist now covered in confident, flour-smudged ticks. I was lighting the last candle on the dining table, vintage blue linens, crystal vases, place cards with delicate watercolor illustrations, when my phone vibrated with a familiar chime. My father's text tone. Smiling, I picked it up, expecting a message confirming their arrival time. Instead, I read, "We've decided to celebrate at Bellamy's restaurant instead. It's adults only. Sorry for the late notice." I froze. I reread the text. Once, twice. The words stayed the same. The implications sank in like ice water down my spine. Bellamy's, the most exclusive restaurant in the city, adults only. They had changed the plan. Not just changed, it was clear this had been planned behind our backs. My fingers trembled. A follow-up message appeared seconds later. "You're welcome to join us at 8. Table for 20. Black tie preferred." Black tie, black tie. I glanced around our modest but transformed dining room. The cake Brooke had labored over all week sat in the center. A three-tiered blue fondant masterpiece covered in handcrafted sugar flowers and printed edible family photos. She'd even painted a tiny replica of the lakeside cottage where my mother had spent summers as a child. And now, none of it mattered? My knees buckled slightly and I gripped the edge of the table. Brooke called from the kitchen, cheerful and unknowing. "Mom, do you think we should plate the tartlets now or wait till they're warm?" I didn't respond. I couldn't yet. I opened Instagram, scrolled. My cousin Abigail had posted 2 days ago. "Can't wait for Grandma's elegant birthday soiree at Bellamy's. Thank you, Penelope, for the hookup." My aunt had commented about gift ideas for a formal evening. Everyone knew. Everyone. Everyone. Except us. I pieced it together quickly. Penelope, my mother's oldest friend from the club circuit, had offered to use her connections to get them Bellamy's private room. A waiting list of 6 months. But she'd made it happen. Eleanor, of course, had said yes. And Brooke? The 17-year-old who had researched 1950s French cooking for 3 months? Who worked double shifts at the bookstore to afford ingredients? Who rented linens in her grandmother's favorite shade of blue? She wasn't even invited. The rage that rose in my throat wasn't hot, it was cold. Ice cold and deep. Like stepping into the same freezing emotional silence I had lived in my entire childhood. Except now it wasn't just me. It was my daughter. I walked toward the kitchen. Brooke was setting the final tray, tiny prosciutto-wrapped asparagus spears, down with the same quiet determination she'd shown every day for weeks. She looked up at me, beaming. Her smile fell. "Mom, what's wrong?" I held out the phone, letting her read it herself. I couldn't bring myself to soften the blow. She stared at the screen. Once, twice, her face didn't crumble. Not immediately. No sobbing, just silence. Then a quiet, flat voice. "Oh, I see." That broke me more than any outburst ever could, because I recognized that voice. It was the same voice I'd learned to use when I was told I wasn't enough, when my mother criticized my dress, when my father said my career was a waste of potential, when I was told to stand up straighter because Mrs. Whitmore is watching. Brooke stood still, her hands resting on the edge of the counter. She looked at the cake, the folded napkins, the menu she had printed in cursive font. "What did I do wrong?" she whispered. That sentence cut like glass. "Nothing," I said instantly, firmly. "You did absolutely nothing wrong. This is about them, not you." She nodded, but her eyes stayed on the cake. "I just wanted Grandma to be happy," she said, barely audible. "I know," I said, swallowing hard. "You gave her your whole heart." She blinked once. A single tear slid down her cheek. I thought this time would be different. So did I. But maybe. Maybe this was the moment things finally changed, not because they realized what they did, but because we stopped accepting it. I straightened. We're not throwing any of this away, I said, my voice clearer now. Not the food, not the effort, not the love you put into every dish. Brooke looked at me, confused. But it was for them. No, I said. It was for someone who deserved it, and I think we just need to figure out who that really is. She nodded slowly. Do you have anyone in mind? 1,000 thoughts rushed through my mind. The community center, the seniors at Sunshine Meadows, the after-school kids whose parents worked double shifts. Yes, I said. I have a few ideas. I didn't know yet what the evening would look like, but I knew one thing for certain. We were done serving people who only cared about being impressed. If you've ever been left out, after giving your absolute best, type 1 in the comments. By 6:15 p.m., the community center smelled like rosemary, chocolate ganache, and something else. Something warmer, deeper. Hope, maybe. Brooke stood near the front doors in her soft blue dress, hands clasped nervously in front of her. The 3-tiered cake rested on a linen-draped table behind her, still intact, its edible family photo timeline now just a conversation piece, no longer a tribute to a grandmother who didn't show up. The first guest arrived in a wheelchair. Mr. Jenkins, 85, wore a faded navy suit and a crooked but proud bow tie. On his lapel, a bronze service pin glinted under the fluorescent light. Evening, he said to Brooke, his voice weathered but warm. They told me a young chef prepared something special tonight. Had to look sharp for the occasion. Brooke's smile returned, slowly but unmistakably. Mr. Jenkins, you look amazing. He patted her hand. Been a long time since anyone cooked something fancy for me. Soon, more guests followed. Families from the shelter, seniors from Sunshine Meadows, a handful of Brooke's teachers, including Miss Thompson, who walked in holding a Tupperware of deviled eggs and her elderly mother's arm. But just as the laughter began to bubble through the transformed space, my phone buzzed. From Principal Hartley. Subject, concerns. Rachel, the email read, a concern was raised regarding your attendance record and possible neglect of duties last week. We need to meet tomorrow to clarify. Please bring relevant documentation. I blinked. Vanessa. She had done it. Last Thursday, when Brooke and I had gone ingredient shopping during my planning period, with approval, I'd noticed Vanessa glance at my sign-out sheet. Now I realized why. She'd erased it. Not physically. She had access to the school's internal scheduling logs. It wouldn't take much. Just delete my digital checkout time, submit a concern, watch it spiral. My hands clenched the phone, but I forced a breath in. This wasn't the time. Brooke had just begun to breathe again. Across the room, Miss Thompson greeted her with a hug. You didn't just cook tonight, she said. You created something. That's what real chefs do. They lead with their heart. Brooke's cheeks flushed. The dining room filled with mismatched chairs now covered in borrowed linens. Crystal vases caught the soft light of strings of LEDs we'd strung up just minutes before. The beef Wellington rested on warming trays. The butter pecan ice cream was tucked away in coolers. Everyone found a place at the table, no business cards, no filtered Instagram moments, just gratitude. Brooke stood, slightly trembling, then steadied herself. Thank you for being here, she said. This dinner was supposed to be for my grandmother's birthday, but plans changed. So tonight, I want to share it with people who know how to appreciate something made with care. These recipes are from her childhood, dishes that told a story before I even cooked them. I hope they remind you of something or someone you've loved. Applause. Gentle, but real. As plates clinked and conversations rose, Brooke made her way from table to table, offering seconds, listening to memories triggered by pickled pearl onions or puff pastry. One elderly woman, eyes damp, murmured, My mother used to make this exact salad when I was small. I'd forgotten. I caught sight of Miss Thompson showing the cake to another guest when Brooke came up behind me. Can we make dessert now? Of course, I said. Let's finish this the way you started it, thoughtfully. while Brooke prepped the final plating, my phone buzzed again. Eleanor. I let it ring. The voicemail notification popped up seconds later. Then a text. I saw the photos. Looked charitable. Charitable? I stared at that word like it was a stain. That's how she saw this? Not generosity, not resilience. A photo op for pity? Before I could stop myself, I typed back, "It wasn't charity, it was community. And it happened because you disinvited your own granddaughter after she cooked for you for 3 days. 3 dots. Typing. Nothing. I locked the screen. Not tonight. Later, as Brooke cut into the cake, Mr. Jenkins raised his water glass. "I'd like to make a toast," he said, standing with effort, "to the girl who turned a no into a feast, and to the kind of night I haven't felt since 1960. He raised his glass higher. "To chosen family." The room echoed. "To chosen family." That was when Miss Thompson turned to me, quiet but sharp. "Rachel, I don't know what you're facing at school right now, but if it's what I think it is, you have people behind you." I blinked. "You heard?" "Vanessa's been whispering to admin, but people see what's real, just like tonight." I exhaled for the first time in hours. Across the room, Brooke was laughing, teaching 2 kids how to fold napkins into swans. Her joy was effortless now, not brittle. That's when I knew they couldn't take this from her. Not with fancy restaurants, not with status, not even with sabotage. If you've ever had to rebuild something with people who truly see you, type 2 in the comments. This one's for you. As we packed up the last tray, Brooke turned to me and said, "Mom, what if we did this every month? A dinner for everyone?" And I realized this wasn't the end of the story. It was the start of a legacy. The email subject line stopped me cold. HR review, professional conduct inquiry, formal follow-up required. I was standing outside the community center, helping Brooke pack leftover pastries into small take-home boxes for the seniors from Sunshine Meadows. My phone buzzed again, this time a forwarded message from Principal Hartley. "Due to inconsistencies in your digital sign-out logs and reports of prolonged absences during school hours, we need to assess your availability and fitness for your role." My breath caught. Vanessa had escalated it. I knew she'd been gunning for my position in the counseling department for months. First subtle comments about my emotional bandwidth, then whispers to staff about my boundary issues between personal life and work. Now she'd planted doubt through manipulated time logs. But Brooke saw my expression before I could hide it. "What is it?" she asked. I didn't want to ruin this moment, this feeling of purpose that had lit up her eyes for the first time in days. But I couldn't lie. "Looks like I'm being investigated," I said carefully, "for something I didn't do." Brooke's eyes widened. "Is it because you helped me cook during school hours?" "No, it's because someone wanted me out and found the perfect moment to try." For a second, she just stared. Then, with startling calm, she said, "So, do we fight back?" And in that moment, I realized she was no longer asking for permission to be strong. She was expecting it. 3 days later, I sat across from Principal Hartley, trying to keep my voice even. I handed him a printed schedule with my class logs, showing that I had arranged coverage for every absence. I also submitted signed notes from 2 teachers confirming I was off campus with approval. "You're saying this was cleared?" he asked. "Yes, and I'd like to know why that data's missing from the digital log." Hartley frowned. "Only a few admin staff have back-end access." Vanessa. He didn't say it, but I saw it flash across his face. "Rachel," he said finally, "your students adore you. And after what happened at the community dinner, I've received 3 parent letters praising your work." He tapped the email stack beside him. "I believe you, but we'll still need to document everything." "I understand. I'm not asking for special treatment," I said. "Just fairness." As I left his office, I didn't feel victorious, but I felt heard. That was new. Meanwhile, Brooke's idea had taken off faster than either of us expected. We called it the Family Table, a monthly dinner hosted at the community center where people from all walks of life came together to eat, connect, and share recipes. Brooke organized a rotating volunteer crew. Mr. Jenkins taught her how to make gumbo from his grandmother's recipe. Mrs. Diaz brought her handwritten notes from Honduras, passed down on onion skin paper. Brooke didn't just cook, she taught. She listened. She began collecting stories and planned to publish a small cookbook, Flavors of Memory. It was the kind of healing we hadn't even known we needed. Then came the scholarship, an email from the Culinary Heritage Institute of New York. Brooke had been nominated for their Young Innovators program. Full tuition for a summer term, mentorship, professional training. She was radiant when she showed it to me. They said they saw the photos from our dinners, she beamed, and someone submitted my name. Maybe Miss Thompson? My heart swelled. You earned it. Her excitement dimmed slightly. The only problem is, it overlaps with Grandma's annual charity gala. Ah, the gala. The event Eleanor used to parade her social influence and network. I told her about the program, Brooke said quietly. She said, well, I suppose we can have lunch before you leave. Like it was nothing. I waited. I don't think I'm angry anymore, Brooke said. Just done. I'd rather be somewhere people care about what I make than people who just care what I wear. That night we sat on the porch swing. June air, faint cicadas. Brooke traced her finger along her glass of lemonade and said, I think forgiveness is just not carrying their hurt around anymore. I looked at her, not just proud, but in awe. She had outgrown the shame I was only just beginning to shake off. A week later, Eleanor called. Her voice was unusually soft. I saw the press, she said. The article about the family table. Yes, I said. Rachel, maybe we underestimated what Brooke was capable of. No apology, just the ghost of recognition. She's not trying to prove anything, I replied. She's just being who she is. For once, that needs to be enough. Eleanor was quiet. Then, well, she'll still be at the gala, right? No, I said. She'll be in New York, where someone finally saw her. A pause, a sigh. I suppose that's for the best. At our next family table dinner, Brooke stood at the front with Mr. Jenkins beside her. This gumbo recipe, she explained, comes from Mr. Jenkins's grandmother. He taught it to me because I reminded him of someone who never got the chance to pass it on. Mr. Jenkins raised his cane slightly. But now I have. Applause. Laughter. The smell of spices wafting through the air. Brooke looked out at the crowd and smiled. She didn't need anyone's permission anymore. If you've ever had to protect your worth by building something new, type 3 in the comments. Your story matters too. And as the crowd rose for a toast, I glanced at my phone. Another unread message from Eleanor. This time, I didn't open it. Some boundaries don't break. They build.